Thanks for joining me this morning for your practice. This morning we are studying Stiram, Sukham, Asanam, which comes from Patanjali, who, if you don't know, is kind of the father of yoga philosophy. He wrote the Yoga Sutras thousands of years ago, and I forget how many aphorisms there are, but there's a lot of them. And this one, Stiram, Sukham, Asanam, is one you hear all the time in yoga classes because it's sort of the basis of all that we do. And Stiram means steady. If you just break it down into one word, it's also about grounding and steadiness over time. And when we think about yoga and we think about how our legs, our feet enter the earth and feel into the earth, and how our legs get strong up into our body, that's all Stiram. And then Sukham comes from the same root word as Sukha, and we were talking about that the last couple classes, about Sukha meaning good sky pose or ease or comfortable space pose. But it's the place where you continue to feel your body, and you continue to feel the good places in your body. So there's something that I think about when we think of Stiram and steadiness that can be taken to an edge that's not too helpful. So I liken it to if you were learning to drive and you put your feet on the brakes and you slam the car to a halt, you would feel this jolt. And then a good driver teacher came in and said, no, you don't need to slam on the brakes to get to that stop sign. You need to press gently on the brakes, and just when you get to the stop sign, let your feet up slightly. And so that the car kind of glides to this sweet stop. And that moves you into Sukham. So you have the steadiness, you have the action of the muscles on the bones, but if you take it so hard that you can't move and you feel rigid and you stop feeling, then you don't allow that Sukham to come back in. So we're going to be playing with that idea today. Please have blocks for your practice because we're really going to use them. We're going to slow down. We're going to do a really nice breath practice, pranayama first, which I hope will guide us, and then we'll play with the idea of Stiram, Sukham, Asanam. Oh, I forgot to tell you about Asanam. So Asanam, obviously, I'm sure you can hear, comes from the same word as asana. And it means to take your seat, to find your seat, to sit down. And so I take that to mean that it means coming into your own, like coming into what's your seat, not your neighbor's seat or your teacher's seat or anybody else's seat, but to take your seat in the pose. So Stiram, Sukham, Asana. Close your eyes. Rest your hands on your lap and take a big deep breath through your nose. As you're breathing and arriving, feel the sits bones on the earth or on your block or on your blanket, on your chair, wherever you're sitting, and feel their steadiness. Feel their weight. Feel their grounding. And if those are feelings that don't come easily to you, sneak your middle finger underneath you onto your sitting bone, and I think you'll feel it differently, or you'll feel it more clearly. So to take one seat means to arrive, so bring yourself here to this practice, letting go of what you came from or what you're going to, and see if you can bring your body, mind right to this moment. Let your breath guide you. If you put your hands underneath your sitting bones, gently pitch forward, grab those sitting bones, widen them back and apart, and then sit back down, feeling the width of your pelvic floor. Here's the breath practice, and I'll guide you through it for the first few rounds, and then I'll leave you to your own rhythm, tempo, and feeling, so you can really touch in. So the inhale is 5 counts. So it's almost like a metronome, or it is like a metronome. It's maybe a teeny bit faster than a second count, but I'll guide you, and then you can choose the rhythm that fits best for you. So we inhale, let's inhale just like a Ujjayi inhale. Let's exhale completely. And then we'll inhale for 5 counts. So inhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath without getting hard for 8 counts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale for 10. And you want that to be smooth and steady, releasing the breath, releasing your body into gravity. 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue 5. Inhale. Hold for 8. Exhale 10. If you don't make it all 10 counts, don't worry. You don't want to add stress to your practice. You want this to be soft and easy. As you're ready, 5 in. Hold 8. Exhale 10. In for 5. Hold for 8. Exhale 10. Keep going. We've got another few moments to practice. And as you continue counting and breathing, I want you to feel into this practice. Notice the shifts and changes happening in your body-mind. You might notice the mind start to soften. I love the holding place. That's where I feel like things really shift for me. I'm just noticing how this feels in your body. Maybe noticing your clarity with ground, your clarity with Stiram. Finding the exhale moving into Sukham, so that you can find your Asanam. Notice how quiet and peaceful it gets within your body. Last round. From here, inhale your arms out into a big T. Just take a moment to feel. You can still continue some of that breath or some of the feeling of the breath as you move into movement. It'll be really important for us to feel the steadiness of the breath and the easeful quality of the breath. From here, inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, take palms to the sky. Let yourself drop into the steadiness of your hips. Let yourself feel into the ease of your spine, of your face, of your jaw, of your mind. And then exhale, big sweep back and around just to stretch out that shoulder, those shoulders as you come back. Bring your hands right into prayer in front of the heart. And take a moment to set your intention for your practice today. And then exhale, offer that with a bow. Inhale, roll yourself up through your spine, up to sitting. Let the shoulder blades drop together and gently settle down on the back. And we'll seal that offering with a breath and an Om together. Inhale deeply. Beautiful. Blink open your eyes. We're going to start for a moment standing with your two blocks to wake up our feet. So coming on to your mat with your blocks right next to each other. You've been seeing this, so it should be familiar. You're going to lay one foot on one of the blocks, and you're going to have the top edge or the front edge of the block be right at the balls of the toes. Balls mounded the big toe all the way to the mound of the pinky toe. And then you curl your toes over the block. And you might notice that if you look down at that foot, you get a nice arch lift. That's great. We're just waking that up, waking up the strength of the feet. Soften your standing leg, making sure that your hips settle back. They feel the ground and your legs are Stiram. They're super steady and strong. You're going to press that foot into the block and imagine you could pull it back. So we'll just inhale, bring our arms out in front. As we exhale, we'll turn the fists over and bring the elbows down by our sides. So we inhale, reach, and exhale, pull. And we're mimicking the same action in our legs. So it's like the foot is pulling that block back. We're really creating strength through the legs. And the arms remind us to brace a little bit in our abdominals, inhaling and exhaling. You can let the leg that you're standing on bend and straighten. Couple more. Activating that foot, waking it up. Beautiful. And then stand on your standing leg. Lift up your grabbing foot and try to shake it out. If you need to take the arms out to the side, please do that. Just shake, 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 shake. Wake up that leg. You might feel a little wobbly. That's just good diagnostics. Go ahead and stand on that leg. Close your eyes for a moment and just notice the really clear difference. I'm thinking your leg that was on the block, it feels really steady and anchored into earth and really you're aware of it. You know it. You feel it. You know where it is in space. Let's try second side. So we're going to step on that block, let our toes drape over the front edge, make sure the hips ground back, they're not tucked under, they're just relaxed down. That's that falling into gravity. And then you let the standing leg bend and you grab that block like you're trying to palm it like a basketball. Go ahead and look at it and just notice how that arch is deeply lifted. And you know that when the arches are lifted, it causes action all the way up in the legs to the pelvic floor. So you're getting multiple benefits here. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, pull back. That foot presses and pulls. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, pull. You're waking up your arms here too. Inhale. Exhale. I've been loving this for my one foot that likes to get cranky. It seems like it's really helping just work the action of the foot. Two more. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful. You're going to put all your weight on that right leg or that standing leg. Lift up your other leg. Hands can go out to the side and just shake it out. Feeling your balance, feeling your steadiness. Now step on that foot too. Close your eyes and just notice your Stiram, your steadiness. And then also notice your ease. So as you activate like that, you also bring those muscles into so much connection that they relax better as well. So you should feel Sukham as well. Go ahead and come onto your backs. Now your feet are awake. You're going to come onto your back so your knees are up in the floor and your feet are flat on the floor. And you can reach down and just kind of tickle those heels so you know they're in a good space. And the feet are square to each other, so they're not turned out, they're not turned in. The knees are straight, so there's a straight line of connection between second and third toe, center ankle, center of the knee, center of the hips. And that's just such a great alignment pattern to start to feel into. As you inhale, press your feet into the floor and press your back into the floor. It's going to feel like a little minor cat tilt. And then as you release the breath, release the effort, and you'll move into a little mini cow tilt. So there's a little arch there. So press the feet, inhale, bring the low back to the floor, cat tilt. Exhale, release the effort, cow tilt. Keep going. Inhale, press and pull. Mobilize the low spine. And if it feels good to you, just really press that lumbar spine into the floor as you inhale. And as you exhale, let it float up and feel that little arch. And I want you to start to close your eyes here and notice what you notice. Like, notice if there's any other part of the body that's responding to this movement. I'll give you a hint. It's above your shoulders. So you might notice how as you do this, the head, you rock on the head, back of the head, forward and back. So you're just getting a little bit of a beautiful neck mobilization as well. Couple more. Inhaling as you drop that back onto the floor and curl under the tailbone. Exhale as you release. All right, you're going to inhale and come to that first action, so that curl. And then you're just going to bring your knees up one at a time into the chest. So you've protected the back there as the knees come up. You take your legs straight up into the sky. So they can be pretty much vertical here as much as you can. Straight knees are the least important part. So if that's hard for you, just see if you can find the balance of action between that cat and that cow movement. And I want you to feel how the weight of the legs drops down onto the backs of the hips. So you start to feel that connection between feet, ankles, knees, hips. They drop down. There's the weight. There's the stiram, steadiness into the earth. And then you inhale and swing the arms up overhead. And now I just want you to notice what you did, because I notice what I do, and that is that my shoulders are off the floor. So I'm going to ask you to, just like your legs, lay your shoulders back down on the floor. That's steadiness. And so that we really feel the back plane of the body encountering the earth. And this is also a really good practice for what it should feel like when we're standing. That we're not pulling the shoulders forward, nor are we pulling the hips forward, but everything is steady back towards the back plane. And the belly is slightly lifted and drawing in and up. One more breath here, just appreciating that. Beautiful. And then you're going to bend your left knee and drop it to the floor. Take your arms out in T. Turn the right leg out so it looks like duck toe and extend through the heel. So you get an extra special stretch behind the back of the leg. That'll make them more resilient and ready to feel Stiram and Sukham. And then bring that right ankle. I hope I said that right. That was your right leg. Bring your right ankle over your left knee for a first intro to figure four, or my mind is going blank. A hip stretch, Sukham. There you go. Inhale here. Bring your low back to the floor. As you exhale, lift that left leg off the floor. You're not going to use your hands yet. You're just using the action of your legs to press those legs more towards your chest. So you really feel awakening in those legs. One more breath. You might feel that in your quadricep, or you might feel it somewhere else. Inhale, come out of the pose. Exhale, return that right foot to the floor. Inhale, low back to the floor. Extend your left leg up into the sky. Turn it outwardly and extend through the heel so you feel that long stretch through the back side of your leg. And you breathe here, ready? Remember that steadiness of the breath so that you really feel that beautiful, supportive breath. With that leg turned out, bring that ankle to the knee like you're doing Sukham, eye of the needle pose. Inhale, excuse me, inhale here, low back to the floor. Exhale, draw that knee up into the chest. Really creating leg strength here. You can't use your hands. That's not permitted today. You're just going to press one foot into the other and one knee into the chest and notice where you feel it. What muscles are waking up? What stretch is happening? Last breath. And then inhale, release both feet to the floor. Take a cleansing breath. Beautiful. On your next inhale, drop the low back to the floor and bring the knees up into the chest. This time we're going to do a twist. And again, we're going to have to use our abdominals to bring the knees in a little bit closer. So your next exhale, bring the knees even closer into your chest. As you inhale, try to drop your knees straight over to the left like they're trying to tap the the left elbow. Inhale, take your low back as if it were going to the floor. Let your head do what happens naturally so that you've got a lot of steadiness, but there's some ease, there's some Sukham in this pose. Remember how we don't want to just throw on the brakes. We want to draw in good muscle action, but still feel the pose. Exhale, come back to center. Relax your legs a little bit and just rock them forward and back so you get that, again, that mobilizing of low spine. Take another breath. Here we go, second side. So active legs, they draw into the chest, low back goes to the floor. Inhale, take the knees over to the right elbow. Let your head do what it may. It might want to look over at the left hand. It might want to look straight up at the sky. Either way, as you inhale, draw the low belly back so that the low back mimics that pressing onto the floor. Exhale, bring yourself back to center. Nice little warm-up twist and inhale. You can take one at a time, those feet to the floor. Take the feet wide on the sticky mat and just give yourselves a couple little windshield wipers, and you can be a little bit more vigorous here so we just get some movement. So let the legs go back and forth. Keep a sense of action around your core so that you're just not flopping. There's a little bit of that, staying steady and braced. All right, come back to center. Take a cleansing breath. We're going to do a couple little core exercises to warm up here. So the very first one is going to look like Bakasana. That might not mean anything to you, but that's crow pose where we're balancing on our hands. So we'll bring our hands up as if we were standing on them right above us. The knees bend and they come to the outer elbows. And the outer elbows, they tuck into the inner knees. And you're going to press. You're going to do pressure cooker pose. So the knees press into the elbows press back, and we lift our head off the floor looking straight up at the sky, and we inhale and pull our lower belly and our lower back to the floor. Keep breathing. Do that action each time. So you're lifting face straight up to the sky. As you inhale, you pull that low back to the floor, also on your exhale. One more breath. Oh, beautiful. Release that down, feet wide on the sticky mat, windshield wiper. And here, just take a big, beautiful cleansing breath. Give yourself what you need here. We're doing a lot of Stiram right now, and that'll translate itself into better Sukham and better Asanam. So here we go one more time. So inhale, low back to the floor. Draw your knees up one at a time. Hands press to the ceiling and knees bend into the outer elbows. Face looks straight up to the sky. Isometric press. Knees into elbows, elbows press back, lower back to the floor. Lots of belly support. Try not to look at your tush.
but look straight up to the floor. So you have to isolate the action of the core. A couple more breaths here. Use your abdominals last time. Oh, beautiful. Release, grab your ankles, rub on the soles of your feet and the tops of your feet. Give yourself a little foot massage. And then bring your feet together and drop them so the outer edges are on the floor. So it looks like a prayer. And then very gently push down, take your arms out in T, give yourself a little cow tilt as you press your feet together, arch through the spine, lift them. Beautiful. Release that all. Inhale your knees together. Walk your feet to the outer edges of the sticky mat. Let your knees drop in. Constructive rest. Take another breath here. All right. Taking that into supported back bend. So have your block handy. You're going to lift up your hips and drop your block right underneath your hips. You'll take your arms out in T. So now you feel really supported, and so that the whole sacrum, that place of the spine that's right below the lumbar spine, feels really supported here. And just notice how much easier it is to have a little lumbar curve when the hips are lifted. So just enjoy that for a few moments. Supported lumbar curve. And then one at a time. Take your legs up into the sky. Take your arms up into the sky. Let everything drop down. So that means that you feel the back of your sacrum and the back of your shoulders on the mat. From here, just take the feet and fingers around like you're trying to clean out the under rim of a honey pot, that big, big honey pot. You want to get every little last bit of it, so really circle and breathe. And you're getting the benefit here of an inversion right away in your practice. So that means a lot of blood flow and oxygen is getting and nourishing into your body, and that theoretically should create more ease, right? Let's go the other way. It's also super good for immunity. So I just really am enjoying adding into all my practices some good immune system work so that we're keeping ourselves as strong as possible. Beautiful. Bring the knees into the chest. Drop them down onto the floor. Lift your hips up. Take your block out from underneath you. And then inhale, snow angel your arms overhead. So overhead might mean for you more like a V or a T or even a W. And from here, we're going to inhale low back to the floor. And as we exhale, we're going to try to touch our feet towards, I'm saying towards, not to, towards our fingers. So you're going to swing those hips up. So it goes inhale low back to the floor. Exhale, try to lift and just try to lift those feet off. So inhale low back to the floor. Exhale, ha, and try to lift the hips up. Inhale low back to the floor. Exhale, ha. Maybe if you're lucky enough, you'll touch your fingertips. Inhale, keep going. Press your belly back. Inhale. 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 Last one. Inhale. Good. From here, I'm just going to roll. Just going to enjoy the rolling of my spine. Keep going. Keep breathing. And we'll finish up by coming all the way up to sitting, crossing our ankles, and just hanging forward a minute over those hips and taking a cleansing breath. Maybe breathing into the hips as if we could extend them wide and apart. Last breath. Beautiful. Come on up. Switch the crossing of your ankles. Second side. Just hanging over, just giving that first stretch, that first intro to awakening of the hips. Beautiful. Come on up. You're just going to swing your legs to the side underneath you and come to hands and knees. We're going to tuck our toes under, and we're going to turn our fingers behind us. Wake up the wrists a little bit, toes tucked under. You're going to very gently start to sit back on those tucked toes, peeling the heels of the hands off. And then you go forward again. And I want you to try to feel how the feet can guide you forward. So don't just let them be passive, but press through your toes to move yourself forward and press through your hands to move yourself back. And you're just, waking up those wrists and toes, getting a nice stretch. Breathing, inhaling forward, exhaling back. We've got one more. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. If you can, sit all the way on those tucked toes and just shake your wrists out. Reorganize your blocks if you need to so that they're near the front of the mat, and they can be tall if you know hamstrings are tight. Actually, let's all go tall today. I think that will be really good for us. Let's tuck our toes under and push on back to step wide on the sticky mat, and then just bow forward, unlocking the knees. Let yourself hang forward. And you can rock forward and back. You can move left and right. So let this be a time of exploration and warm up. You could even do a little hip circling. Whatever feels good to you. Come back to center and walk yourself forward to downward facing dog. You're going to keep your feet wide for now so that you just keep yourself warming up easily. But inhale to tippy toes. Exhale, turn both heels to the left and drop them down. And let your knees soften and bend, and let your hips almost want to drop towards the floor. And then press with your arms and legs. Come up through tippy toes. Drop your heels to the other side. Bend both knees and see if you can almost tap your right hip to the floor. Then press strongly with your hands and legs. Tippy toes one more time each side. Bending knees, dropping hip. You get a nice side body lengthening. Inhaling and exhaling to second side. Making those arms super strong as you come up. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. I want you to, in your dog today, to look at your hands and make sure that the wrist creases are either straight or slightly turned out. And you're going to shrug the shoulders while keeping your heels rooted. Almost try to shrug the shoulders like you want to bring them forward of your wrists. It's action, not a movement so much. And then you pull in your belly, you soften your knees, and you try to lift your sitting bones to the side. That last part. Inhale to tippy toes, walk your way forward to the front of the mat. Find your blocks for Uttanasana. Just place your fingertips on your blocks, unlock your knees, and bow over your strong, steady Stiram legs. See if you can find Sukham. And one of the ways where I find it is to let go, to let myself drop and release into the pose, to take any excess tension or holding out. So I almost feel myself stacking on my bones and my muscles starting to soften and release into gravity. One more breath. From here, we press up through those strong legs and hands, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway up. Inhale, lengthen through the crown. Exhale, bend your knees. Bring your hands to your hips, look forward. Feel the thumbs into the lumbar spine there, making sure you've got a little curve. And then pull in the belly. And with those strong Stiram legs, press down and come up to standing. Exhale, release your hands. Inhale, fly. Overhead, look up. Exhale, strong legs. Let yourself pour over those strong legs. We've got one more similar little variation. Press yourself, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees and drop your head as if to touch your knees. Then pick up the belly and in about 5 or 6 or even 10 counts, see if you can roll up one vertebra at a time using your frontal abs. Low, middle, upper, finding the strong leg action. When you get halfway or 3/4 of the way, come all the way up, roll the shoulders up and back, and then let your hands float into prayer and just take a moment to feel how strong and steady and anchored and grounded your legs are. And hopefully with that, how easeful your breath, your spine, your shoulders, your neck, and your head are. Inhale deeply. Exhale, release your hands. Inhale, fly them up overhead. Exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Bend your knees, bring your blocks out to the outer ankles, and step your right leg back to a straight leg lunge. You are going to right away anchor the back foot, so it's square to the back of the mat. And you're going to walk your blocks to the right so that you're in a diagonal. You might get one block, might get off the mat, maybe two. You're going to keep your blocks on your highest level so that you're up, and then you're going to feel into both feet. You're going to remember that block work we did so that the feet are strong, the arches are lifted. And I want you for the next few breaths just to bring Stiram, just to bring steadiness up the legs. Like with yourself up this high, we don't have to worry so much about the stretch. We can worry about the steadiness. And what I notice in this pose is that my left leg, my forward leg, really gets steadiness. But my back leg goes to sleep. It steps out of my awareness. So I'm going to bring my awareness back up that leg all the way to the butt cheek if I can. I might have to reorganize my legs or my blocks. And I'm just going to keep bringing that up. Now, if I lock out my knees, it's going to lock out that sensation. So I just keep bringing that steadiness up. And the breath is smooth and steady as well. You got 3 more breaths. Stiram, Sukham, Asanam. Feeling the steadiness, but also softening somewhere. Maybe between your shoulders. Maybe around your heart. Maybe in your neck or your jaw. 1 more breath. Beautiful. You're going to walk your blocks back. Lift your back heel so you're back in a lunge, and then from here you're going to rock forward and back. You're going to stand on your left foot and bring your right knee in behind it. So you're going to come all the way down to sitting so that your left leg is crossed over your right leg and your right leg is tucked underneath you. And blocks are handy here because you can place them by your hips and press up and just kind of swing your hips left and right and see if you can find both sitting bones onto the earth. If you cannot easily in this pose, a block underneath you or blanket will create more ease. And just take a moment to see if you can feel the steadiness of this pose. Take a breath. And then you're going to bring your right elbow around your left knee and hug it in a little bit, just for a breath, just to stretch that outer hip. And then from there, you can walk your hands onto the floor so they frame that front thigh, that top thigh, and then you use your abdominals and see if you can bring your chest to the knee. You're just kind of rounding the spine here and getting a little stretch before we go into our twist. 1 more breath. And then inhale, come up. Keep that right arm on the top knee. You can readjust if you need to. Left arm can come behind you on a block or the floor. I recommend fingertips rather than flat so you can feel lifted. And as you draw that knee in towards your chest, see if you can feel the steadiness of your hips down on the floor. See if you can feel the softness of your spine. Use your back hand very lightly. Use your abdominals and see if you can twist a little bit more. 1 more breath. Beautiful. From here, if you have a block behind you, grab them and bring them towards the front of the mat. We're going to move back into our lunge. So that means we press down And we step the right leg back into a lunge. Just breathe there for a moment. Exhale, drop the back knee to the floor. Grab your blocks, place them at their highest level by your hips. Elbows bent, close to the torso. Press down with your hands and lift your heart. This little bitty back bend. Good, and then release that. Release the blocks, rock forward and back. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Take a pause there and notice what's happening between your left and right side bodies. You should feel a difference. I feel super steady on my left leg, and I feel it all the way up into my left buttock, maybe even up into my left back. So breathe there for another breath, just feeling into the sensations of your body. Let's try second side. Inhaling halfway up. Exhaling, bending your knees. You can grab your blocks, place them by your heels, and step your left leg back to a lunge. Anchor your back foot so it's square to the back of the mat. Nice, you guys. Walk your blocks to the left. Keep them tall. You might even walk them off the mat. Just find your own way here. Make adjustments if you need to. See if you can find steadiness. So notice that all your awareness, or at least mine does, goes into the front leg, the right leg. Can you peek at it and make sure the knee's right over the second and third toe? That it's not migrating inwardly or outwardly, and that whole foot is strong on the mat? Now, can you do that same awareness in your back leg, and are you breathing? So bring up that earth, that steady energy all the way to the left butt cheek. And then see where you can soften, see where you can Sukham. So you find the steadiness and the softness. Maybe it's your jaw, maybe it's your eyes, maybe it's your heart that's melting. One more breath here. And then you're going to walk those blocks back to frame that front foot. Take your back leg into a lunge. Drop your back knee to the floor. Walk your blocks back towards your hips. Elbows bend. And you just pull the heart forward. A little bit of a lunge. Beautiful. And then from here, let's just take that left knee underneath you. Right into your little twist. So the left leg is underneath you, the right leg is over top. Your blocks can be by both hips, and you just lift up and try to let those hips drop equally down to the floor. Rearrange the pose if you need to. Reach over to grab your right knee with your left elbow and just pull it in gently. Like you're trying to pull that knee in and extend the spine long and tall. Now I notice that my right hip here wants to lift up off the floor, so I'm going to re-steady it. I'm going to drop it down into the earth to find that grounding. And then from here, I'm just going to reach my left hand forward onto the floor without cranking my neck. I'm going to try to bring my chest to my knee and breathe into the back body. One more breath. Beautiful, and then come back up, holding that knee, and reach the right hand behind you, either on a block or tippy fingers on the floor. And you gently start to stretch. You're going to feel both hips on the floor steady and strong. The back fingertips are light. You're not weight bearing, and they're light. Then use your abdominals and twist. And see if you can find your chin moving towards your right shoulder, making sure that your throat is still stacked over your heart. Last breath. And then from here, you're going to rock forward, and you're going to step that left leg back again. Reorganize. You might have to use your hand. Reorganize that front leg to a lunge. Take a pause, and you're going to step that right leg back to meet the left leg, downward facing dog. And just take a moment here to notice the difference left and right. See if you can feel that grounding of both legs, the shrugging of both shoulders, the hands encountering earth as well and lifting up the energy into your torso. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling completely. Stiram is often the energy we feel on the inhale, steadiness. And on the exhale, it's more Sukham. We keep some of the steadiness, but we find where we can let go. Inhale to tippy toes. Walk your way to the front of the mat. I'm going to reach for my blocks and make sure they're coming with me. A little awkward. Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Utkatasana. Bring the hands to your hips, thumbs into the low back. Give yourself a little lumbar curve. Draw the belly in and up. Find those steady, strong legs. You can even bounce here a little bit so that you really feel them. Core is strong. Press down and come up to standing. Exhale, release. Inhale, fly your arms up overhead. Grab your right wrist with your left hand and stretch over to the side. Squeeze your left waistline and open your right waistline. Steady in the legs, soft knees, hips moving back and apart. One more breath. Pick up that belly and inhale, come up. Exhale, second side, stretching to the side. Feet strong and steady, hips moving back, belly lifting up. Squeezing right leg, waistline, opening left. Inhale, come all the way up again. You're going to keep your arms up overhead, but then just sweep them around. You can bend the knees, sweep them back like an eagle, just stretching their wings. And then from there, inhale, sweep them up. Exhale, dive Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Take a moment to feel the steadiness of both legs, but the ease of your spine, the belly gently lifting. Last breath. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend the knees, grab your blocks, place them by your heels. Take your right leg back, straight leg lunge. Anchor it. Walk both blocks to the right. Take a pause here. You're going to actually let go of your blocks. So I want you to feel both legs as you start to release the grip from the blocks. Swing your right arm into the sky and come up to Warrior Two. Stack your shoulders over your hips for a moment. Feel the steadiness of both legs. So take a moment to let go of your mind from the tada of the pose, the ending pose, but come into the steadiness of feet, ankles, knees, legs. Peek at that front knee. Make sure it's right over the second toe, but not farther than the shin. So you want the shin to be a right angle as best you can. From here, the ease of it turns and looks over the front hand. One more breath. Feel the steadiness reaching back down into earth. On your next inhale, reach it forward and exhale back to Goddess Warrior. Big stretch. Beautiful. From here, come on up to straight legs. Reach back or to the side and find a block. So you're going to bring the blocks. You're going to bring the blocks into triangle, a little modified triangle. So you're going to walk your blocks to the floor so they're just on the inside of the front leg. You're going to find your stiram, your steadiness of your legs, and then you're going to walk your blocks forward one step. It's almost like downward facing dog in the upper body and triangle in the lower body. And what I like about this is it just sends all that energy and focus into your legs with steadiness of the pose, rather than worrying about how open or how twisted or how triangular your pose is. Just work on the steadiness, so feel both legs, from the back foot up to the back buttock, from the front foot to the front buttock, And then just take a moment to return that energy from hips back down through legs. If you want to move on, soften through the heart and then swing your left block around to the outer left ankle. Keep your legs just that strong, so don't change that. Let the legs drive the opening of the right block arm to the sky. You're just lifting up that block arm, and you're seeing if you can find the steadiness in the legs and the extension of the spine. And just enjoy this as this full body opening stretch. You might even notice that there's a little twist here. So take the belly in and up and twist the body without losing that strong and steady action of the legs. Beautiful. Release, bend the knee, drop your hands to the floor. Walk the hands to the right and bring the left foot with you. So now it's like Prasarita Padottanasana. And you can walk your blocks forward. You can put them lower if you need to. But I encourage even the most stretchy of you to stay on blocks if you have them. And that way you just kind of dial in this awareness of the legs. And you can start to bow forward. But as soon as you lose what it feels like to be strong in the legs, come up a little bit. And I want you to rock forward and back and just feel how steady those legs are. And if that works for you and you can still keep the steadiness of the legs, walk the hands underneath you, fingertips pointing backwards. Keep the steadiness of the legs and start to walk down slowly until the forehead touches the floor or a block without losing the steady action of the legs. One more breath. From here, sweep the arms up overhead, interlace the fingers, and stretch the shoulders. Take another breath here, feeling that beautiful, full, steady, circumferential breath. And then release. Bring your hands to the floor, mashed potato your feet together till they come all the way to Uttanasana. Blocks are handy, blocks are there. Bring the blocks up to their top height if you need to, and just bow forward, softening knees. From here, we inhale up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. We bend the knees, and we're going to reach for the left ankle as best we can. Bring it across the right knee. And you're just going to stretch there. Just going to feel that stretch. Oh boy, in the right hip. I said, oh boy, because there's a screeching of a car outside the window. And then you're just going to bend the knee and straighten it. And breathe all the way. Give yourself this lovely massage into the left hip joint. If that feels good to you, continue that. If you want to go a step farther, you bring your elbows or hands to the knees, making sure that standing knee is right over second and third toe. Can you press down and lift your heart forward? Can you pull the belly in and up? Can you root down with steady action and bring yourself up into modified tree? Take another breath there, breathing, extending, feeling the wibble wobble if that's yours, or the steadiness if that's yours. And then release that foot to the floor and just take a pause. Release your hands, close your eyes. Feel into your breath. Feel into the steadiness. Feel into the ease. The Sukham, Asanam. Beautiful. We're going to do that whole series on the second side. So bring your blocks to the front of the mat. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana. Standing forward, fold. Inhale, pressing yourself to Ardha Uttanasana. Bend your knees, bring your blocks by your heels. Step your left leg back to a straight leg lunge. Anchor your back foot. Walk your blocks in and straighten your front leg. Walk your blocks all the way over to the left so it looks like triangle with a little bit of downward facing dog. Make both legs strong and active. So you feel both feet drawing all the way up to the booty, sitting bones moving back and apart. Belly slightly lifted, heart melted. Stiram, Sukham, Asanam. One more breath there. Good. You're going to walk your right block behind your right knee. Bend your right knee. Lift the left block up. And let's come all the way up to Warrior Two. You can release that block down, actually. And then just take a moment to stack shoulders over hips. Peek at your right knee. Make sure it's going right over that second and third toe. Nice, you guys. Beautiful. And find the steadiness of your legs, maybe even the building of fire in those legs, making sure that the back leg is as steady as the front leg. And then just let your gaze over to the hand without losing that steady action. It's a little bit of a twist through the belly. So there might be a little uplift and a little twist with the abdominals. Good, beautiful. From here, inhale, stretch that right leg towards straight. You're going to reach for your block that's behind your right ankle. Find your triangle. We're just going to start slowly here. We've got a block to help us. If you want to walk back into your triangle with downward facing dog arms, just so you can isolate the action of your legs. You can soften knees, feel both feet strong on the floor, bringing energy up to the hips, and then the hips pressing energy back down. Then you take your right block behind your right ankle here and sweep your left block up to the sky. And just breathe here, feeling this a little more ease in this pose, just because we can. And the strength of the legs drawing all the way up to belly, and it's a twist. So the belly gets long and strong and opens. One more breath, softening through jaw and heart, letting the heart peek out from the pose. And then release that hand down. You're going to lift that back heel up and drop the back knee to the floor. Bring the blocks down, back by your hips. Bend the elbows, pull back and look up. Little arch. Pulling the heart, peeking through the arms and shoulders. Good. From here, you're just going to sit on back. So you're coming into runner's lunge. And you've got your blocks, so you're going to glide the front heel forward until the back thigh is vertical. And then from there, you're going to walk the blocks to the left, and you're going to stick the booty out behind you. Just feel that rotation. You can actually rotate your front foot in, so you get strong internal rotation. And then come up through center. Walk your blocks to frame and then over to the right. Let the right leg drop out into external rotation and feel that. And then walk back to center for runner's lunge or half Ardha Hanuman Asana. And you just take your heart and you bow it forward, keeping the legs steady and strong. If you want, you can take the blocks and you can rest your forearms there if that's your stretch. Breathe, steady. Steady action of legs all the way up to hips. Belly active and breathe. Beautiful. From here, you just rock forward into a lunge. That may be enough for you. You've got your blocks. If you want to try a little Hanuman Asana, you take your right heel and glide it forward and maybe just come down a little bit. And you feel that stretch. Stiram, the legs are strong and active to the midline. And Sukham, the spine is lifting up through the body. And the shoulders draw back and the elbows drop back and you just sweep back. Beautiful. That might be enough. Find your way back. See if you can bring that foot all the way back. Sit back in Vajrasana, hands in your lap, and just let yourself feel the difference between left and right bodies. Take a cleansing breath.
Here we go, second side. So we're gonna come up onto our knees and swing that left leg through. The back knee is on the floor. The blocks walk back to our hips. We draw the elbows back. Let the hips sink down and arch and lift the spine. It's a little bit like a cobra, right? You're just getting a little arch in the spine without thinking about your arms. And then from here, you come back up and you sneak on back into runner's lunge. You're gonna make sure first you glide that front heel forward till the back thigh is vertical. Toes are tucked under on the back, front foot is flexed. You walk your block over to the right, and you can turn that left foot, that front foot, into strong internal rotation and just stick your butt back and apart. And then inhale, bring it up, walk your blocks to frame your front foot and to walk over to the left. You can turn that front foot out in extreme external rotation. And then come back to center. Half Ardha Hanuman Asana is the name of this pose. You just bow forward again, using the blocks as you need. They can be high for your forearms. They can be low for your forearms. Either way, you make your legs active, super strong and active. And they pull all the way back to your hips and your low back. The belly draws in and up. The heart melts forward, becomes more easeful. Good. You can either stay there and keep stretching. If you want to try coming into more Hanuman Asana, you let that front heel glide forward. And you just find the blocks are there to help you. Just make sure you're not rounding the shoulders. You're pulling them back like a little bit of a back bend. And you let yourself settle on down to your pose. One more breath, strong legs, free spine. Good, and then press down, pick that up, pull it back, sit on back in Vajrasana. Blocks can drop off to the side, hands into your lap, take a cleansing breath. Some good challenges today. It doesn't mean you need to go to the full edge. You're just exploring these movements as best you can. All right, so take one of your blocks now and put it in front of you a little bit. That's going to be like a little landing pad just in case you need it. You may not even go that far or need it, but just in case it's there. You're going to sit forward and tuck your toes. You're going to remember your very first core work today. So we sit on back onto our tucked toes, so we're more in a squat. The heels are lifted. Bring that block in so that it's, not too far in front of you. And you bring your elbows inside the knees. This would be the very first action of the pose. And you can frame with your thumbs on the front side and your fingers on the sides of the block. You can frame that block and press your hands there. That gives you a lot of stiram, a lot of steadiness. And then as you press the block, the elbows press against the knees press back, and that might be enough for you. You just let the head hang over. If you want a little bit more, you lift the hips up and you just kind of walk your way a little bit forward, and then you try to crouch a little bit more and get those knees up to the upper arm bones. And you don't need to do anything more. You just rock forward onto your hands and back onto your toes. And each time you squeeze the block and you squeeze the elbows and you squeeze the knees, you'll feel this. If you've done it before and you feel comfortable, you can try to balance and try to lift one leg up at a time for Bakasana. Totally up to you. One more breath. And then release that. Move your block off to the side. Drop your knees to the floor and make your way all the way on to your tummy. If this was more than you bargained for today, just take a moment to rest in Dandha Pranam. The arms sweep straight up overhead on the mat. I'm going to rock my hips left and right to get some ease into the body, and I'm going to rest my forehead on the floor. Full prostration, but it's also a great front body stretch after all that abdominal work. One more breath here. Bend the knees. Drop the knees left.
the feet, drop the feet right. Little reverse windshield wiper pose. Get into those outer hips. Good job today, you guys. A lot of good solid work to feel that steadiness in our practice so that we can start to also feel the contrast, the ease. Okay, just for a little bit more easeful back bend. No back bends are ever easeful, but we're going to try to keep our feet on our knees on the floor, our feet up. We just sweep the arms around, and if you can, you just find the fronts of the ankles. The knees stay on the floor, you press down and lift your heart forward. See if you can externally rotate your upper arm bones. See if you can smile the collarbones. See if you can bring in the abdominals. See if you can melt the heart. And release. Beautiful job. Place your hands underneath your chest. Inhale for cobra. Take another breath there. Inhale for tabletop. And exhale, big toes touching. Sit on back, child's pose. Drop and release. Let go of your any tension that's in your body, any holding pattern. Release into your child's pose. If you need a block underneath your forehead to help you release into the hips, please do so. Use blocks to aid the letting go process, to ease yourself into your practice. Find your cadenced breath. See where you might find a little steadiness. See where you might find more ease. Drop into the pose. Let go. One more breath. From here, you're going to use your abdominals to bring you up to hands and knees. You're going to sneak your left knee forward. As we move towards pigeon, you are welcome to do modified pigeon, which means that you just keep the front leg in this angle, the same angle. If you're comfortable and confident and you want to go farther, you just swing that ankle forward and then sit on straight back. And if it just doesn't feel good to you, then you take a block and stick it under your left booty and give yourself a break. If it doesn't feel good to your knee, the front knee, you're going to karate chop that foot down on the ground, like with a lot of effort. That's the steady part of the pose. And then you imagine you could swing the left hip left and the right hip right. And that usually will relieve any knee pain, because the knee is not supposed to take the stretch, the hips are. So if you use the steadiness of your legs to open the hips, it usually relieves the knee. Take a pause, bring the belly in and up, and then walk yourself forward, maybe to your forearms, maybe to a block. You can always put your forehead on a stacked block so that you can feel the action of your legs and hips more clearly. Sometimes the head likes to fall forward and it kind of saves the hips from feeling the pose as clearly. One more breath. Pulling that belly in and up, feeling that stretch in the hips. Breathing into it, letting yourself go into more ease or more release. And then rock over onto your left hip and swing your right leg all the way around. So you're just going to bring your left leg into your inner thigh and your right leg straight out in front of you. I'm going to bring my sitting bones back and apart. You're always welcome to have a folded blanket underneath your tush here to support you. Otherwise, The blocks can come in handy here too. You just place them down so forearms can rest. And instead of just letting the head hang, you see if you can lengthen. Here's the steady part. The legs come into the pose to extend the spine. The belly drops in and up. And then you find yourself just walking forward, stretching through that front hamstring, the hip, the back. A couple more breaths. Adjust accordingly so that it works for your practice. One more breath. Jonushasana. Beautiful. From Janu, you're going to bring your left leg forward and just shake it out for a moment. And we're going to move into Pigeon on the second side. So we're going to swing the right leg back and around. And then you can either come, oops, I think that was the wrong side. Oopsie. You're going to bring the right knee forward and stretch the left leg back. So you can either come into just a modified Pigeon again so that you have blocks. If Pigeon hurts your knees, this might be a great alternative. Otherwise, if you want to go a little farther, then you're going to sit down and swing that right shin towards forward. And then again, bring your blocks in. You can drop a block underneath your right hip just to square you off. You can karate chop your right foot down on the floor. Think about that same pressure cooker pose. So the more you activate those knees, the more you can swing the sitting bones back and apart. The belly is lifted in and up. And then again, you can use your blocks here to pad yourself, to put it underneath your forearms, underneath your neck, any way that you can still keep that sensation in the hips and drop into those hips. I find that the torso or the head and neck are always saving other body parts by hanging forward, and when we prop them a little higher, then I think we feel more sensation in the place that needs it. We'll take another couple breaths here, squaring off the hips. The left hip starts to migrate forward, the right one back. The belly lifts off the thighs, and we find where the ease in this pose. I think we know where the steadiness is. But where can you find ease? Can you soften around your heart? Can you soften your jaw or your fingers? Can you soften your eyeballs, your brain? If the brain is saying things that aren't soft anymore, see if you can even let that go and drop into the pose. Sometimes the brain wants to say bad words when we get into a real stretchy place, and you just try to stay breathy and expansive. Okay, from here, we're going to walk ourselves up a little bit, and you sit out on that right hip and swing the left leg around for Jonushasana. So that right foot comes right into the groin. And I'm going to bring myself up onto a folded blanket if I need, or bring those sitting bones back. Your blocks are super handy here because they keep you from just trying to round the back and go forward. Instead, we start to feel the action of the legs, drawing the extension of the spine, and then we take the blocks down accordingly. The low belly is lifted. The head is neutral, extending out from the spine. The legs are strong, bringing action up into low back and belly. But the heart is easy and soft and melted. One more breath. Root down with your strong legs, strong belly. Helps you come all the way up. Take both legs out in front of you and shake them out. We're actually going to roll back onto
Our backs are shoulder blades, so it's not quite a shoulder stand, but it moves you towards that. So I like to have a blanket here, and I like to have it in a pillow fold, and I like the folded edge to be at the top of the mat so that my head can hang over, but the shoulders are supported. So if you reach your hands to the top of these shoulders, you'll find that the blanket and the shoulders are right against each other. One's not hanging farther over than the other. And then you could start this one and stay this one with a block underneath your hips. That could be enough for you. And you just let the head hang off the mat and you just appreciate the supported back bend. You could even try it in this configuration for a few breaths. And then if it feels like you could go on, you could flip the block up to the next height. Make sure those shoulders don't roll off your blanket. And you could try it that way too. So you get, a couple different increments, a couple steps before you go into an upper back balancing pose. A couple more breaths there. If you want to go on, you're going to have to move that block out from underneath you. You're going to have to use that abdominal exercise we did where we press low back to the floor and then we sweep the legs up towards the sky. And I'm not going to take you into full shoulder stand. Instead, I'm going to have you try to sneak your arms underneath you, hands rest on the back of the pelvis, and legs just soften down. So you're not in full shoulder stand. You're more like standing on your scapula, on your whole upper back. And that'll just kind of open up the lower back. And you just breathe here. If you feel really confident, I could welcome a shoulder stand or two. If you're not confident, then I wouldn't do it. And anytime we're in shoulder stand, you don't want to look left or right. So if you're looking at the screen, don't go up into shoulder stand. Make sure that your face is straight up at your legs. Otherwise, just enjoy the stretch of the upper back. It's rare that it gets to go into this deep flexion, so it's nice to have a way to do that. And you can even bend your knees so they drape down by the ears. And just breathe in and out. Breathe into anything that's tight. Let the breath be like an internal massage. When you had enough, you see if you can drop the hips down a little lower so that you come down onto the next vertebra underneath your shoulders, but still support the hips. And then see if you can do the next one. So it's like the booty stays up in the curl. And you're just trying to roll. It gets harder as you get lower. You can use your hands to support your legs and curl all the way down. You should be on the end. Of course, everybody's torso are different. I want your hips off the mat. So if you need to move down a little bit, please let your hips drape over the edge of the mat so you feel little support in a back bend. And then walk your feet to the edge of the sticky mat. I migrated a little bit, so if you're like me and you need to recenter, take arms out in T. Drop your knees in towards one another. And let yourself drop and release. Feel the ease. Feel that sweet, soft lumbar support. The upper body resting on the mat. If your chin feels too high here and you want a little more support, you could grab a little pillow, or if it's a lot of support, you could grab a block, because I want that neck to be coming straight out from the tail so that there's this nice big long
It's fine. You could even try stacking your hands underneath your head. Couple more breaths there. Stiram, Sukham, Asanam. Let your body settle. Let it go. Any resistance that's come into your practice, let go now. Noticing the subtle shifts and changes in the body as the body adapts to the practice. Find its way towards Sukha, towards the open sky of our practice, of our being. Big, deeper breath here. You're going to take your legs out into Shavasana. If this blanket no longer feels good underneath you, you can pull it out. Otherwise, you can try your Shavasana, I meant to say, here. Just notice how this feels. Let yourself feel the support that's underneath you. Let yourself get to know all that supports you. Feel into it. Trust it. Accept it. Rest in it. You've done a great job. You've pulled steadiness into your practice. And now let go completely. Let your breath be easy. Let your mind be easy. Let the breath flow through you like water, melting everything in its path. Take your mind gently through your body, one body part at a time, and give it permission to let go. deepen your breath. Again, letting your breath travel through your spine, awakening and moving everything in its path to make room for that steady, smooth breath. As you're ready, wiggling fingers, wiggling toes, taking a yummy, big, full body stretch. And you can go ha with your exhale for the next 2 or 3 breaths. Inhaling deeply. Ah. Taking your time to bend your knees, to roll to your right side. Remember your offering, to look down at the floor and find your way gently, mindfully, steadily, easily up to sitting. We'll meet in Sukhasana. Feeling the ease with which our practice has granted us more freedom in the spine, more freedom in the mind and heart, more ease throughout the body. We take a moment to offer our thanks that we have the ability to come to this practice here now with each other and with our teachers. And our teachers include, by the way, COVID and waiting in line or too many people in town, or whatever your teacher is. Give thanks for that teacher. Give thanks for it all. Thich Nhat Hanh says, when we touch one thing with greater awareness, we touch everything. Seal that with a breath and an Om together. Namaste. Thanks for bringing your practices towards me.
If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Namaste.